Welcome into the Outspoken Sportscast. My name is Craig. I'm the host for this evening. We're going to cover some stuff that we've covered since Tuesday, some NBA playoff updates, and NHL is winding down. The season's ending, and we're getting close to the playoffs. We're going to cover some seeds, where the teams sit, and playoff standings. And we're also going to cover Deebo Samual. He's demanding a trade from San Francisco and the updates on that. So let's just jump right into it. Phoenix is tied 1-1 with their series, but they got some disturbing news on their point guard, Devin Booker. He's got a grade 1 hamstring. He's going to be out at least 2 to 3 weeks. This is going to really hurt Phoenix's chances on advancing. They may make it past this round, but if he doesn't get to play, then it definitely changes the things going forward. Phoenix could be in a real big trouble if Devin Booker's not going to play. So that changes the Phoenix series dramatically. I just don't know where you get those kind of minutes and those kind of points and that kind of production. I just don't think Phoenix has that kind of bench depth as they've had in the past. They just aren't going to survive very long without Devin Booker. The Dallas series, Dallas takes a 2-1 lead last night, and it appears that Luka's supposed to come back. The talk is that he was going to be back for Game 4. And now with Dallas taking the 2-1 lead and Jalen Brunson playing out of his mind right now, do the Mavericks change and not bring back Luka for Game 4? That has been the discussion. I still think he plays. I still think he probably plays in a limited role because the more he plays, the less Jalen Brunson's going to play. And I just don't think if you're the Mavericks, you can go away from that hot hand right now. Jalen Brunson has been playing. He's had 0 turnovers in the last 2 games. He's played 40-plus minutes, scored 41 in Game 2, 31 last night, and he's just been out of his mind with how he's played in the last 2 games. He has done everything the Mavericks could imagine. Maxi Kleba, Spencer Dinwiddie, these guys have stepped up when it's needed most. And I just can't imagine. I think Luka, as he plays, will boost the team. But if there's any chance of him hurting this or needing another day or so, Game 4 would be it. That's the last game in Utah. Then they go back to Dallas for the last 2. I think you can hope that if Luka plays, that he's okay. But in the end, I think he plays in a limited role, and Brunson still carries the majority of the minutes. Golden State, on the other hand, looks like a powerhouse. They are up 3-0. That series is over. Denver says it's not, but it is. They get a combined 80 points of the 118 from Curry, Thompson, and Poole. Again, another guy playing out of his mind is Jordan Poole. He is stepped up in the playoffs and given Golden State the boost that they need. And right now, with the Phoenix injuries and the way Golden State is playing, they are going to cakewalk to at least the West Finals, if not the NBA Finals. Here is a team who has they took their injuries, they sat Curry, they did what they needed to do, and now they're well on their way to going to the next round and to going to further on than that. Memphis is up 2-1. They were down 26 points. That's going to be a series. I don't think Memphis thought they were going to be in a battle. Minnesota's given them everything they can handle, and I think that series goes deep. And so Memphis probably wins it because they have the talent, they have the depth, they have the productivity that all that entails. I think Minnesota is the 7th seed. They played in. They're another year or two away before they really become contending pieces. But they're there, and they're giving Memphis everything they can handle. That wraps up the West. So we go to the East. Miami plays tonight looking for the 3-0 lead on Atlanta. That series is not going to be much. Atlanta just does not have what they had last year. They don't have the camaraderie. They don't have the team. They don't have the power. Miami's just going to walk into the next round. Philadelphia is up 3-0 in Toronto. That's been a disappointing series. As Philadelphia does have the players and the team and everything to really be that. And Toronto is a year away. They weren't expected to do what they did this year, but you won 50 games in the course of the NBA season. That's better than what you were on paper to schedule before, but you won 50, so you should kind of show up. Now, the Sixers, right before we logged on to go live, got some really tough news on the injury front. Joel Embiid, who hit the clutch 3 in overtime to give Philadelphia that 3-0 lead, they fear that he has a torn ligament in his hand. They say he's going to play through it, but we all know Joel Embiid and injuries, and it really could affect him going forward. I still think Philadelphia having a 3-0 lead, they beat Toronto, they move on. But I don't know with this Embiid injury, it will be something to keep a very, very close eye on whether or not he's going to be able to be as productive as he has been all season. He is very possible he's in one of probably 2 or 3 names that is in the running for the MVP. So him being in there and having this torn ligament in his hand, that's going to change some things, and some teams will probably go after him harder and foul him and do some things to try to make that hand uncomfortable. So the Milwaukee-Chicago series. This is a series that they thought was going to be kind of lean towards Milwaukee. Chicago had a very good series. But Chris Middleton has a sprained MCL. He's going to miss the rest of the series, if not the rest of the playoffs. So that changes that series dramatically. Chicago has new life. They're going home. They're going to have some fans. They're going to have some energy with Middleton not being there. Again, I don't know if Milwaukee has the depth and the ability to make up this kind of productivity as Chris Middleton is very, very important, not only offensively, but especially defensively to the Milwaukee Bucks. They are absolutely dependent on, that's kind of the Robin to, the Greek Freaks productivity. He has Middleton, and he has that to fall back on. And I just don't think Giannis can do it on his own. So the 1 seed or the 7 seed or 2 seed in the East, it's actually 2, is going to be in trouble. So that really changes things. We don't know the extent of the injury. Embiid will go in for an MRI, obviously, to see the extent of it. But right now, he says, I'm going to play through it. It happened. I know about it. I'm going to play through it. But I just don't understand or can wrap around the productivity that he'll be able to give for the Sixers. Chicago will, I'm not going to say take that, but Milwaukee is hurt in that series. The big series in the East, Boston and Brooklyn. This series could be very easily 2-0 the other direction. Brooklyn loses the heartbreaker in game 1 on the last second shot, and then is up 17 going in late in the game, and somehow Boston clamps down defensively, and Kevin Durant goes 0 for 10 and basically just goes obsolete. here's a guy who claims that he's with LeBron and the greatest player in the world and all this, and he's in a series that they need him. His team desperately needs some kind of output from Kevin Durant, and in games 1 and 2, he just has not been there. He just hasn't. I mean, when you are Kevin Durant, you cannot just go obsolete and go missing in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. And Kyrie, who had the amazing game 1, had nothing compared to that in game 2. Just was not the same guy. Boston's defense has been the story of the series. They will clamp down. They have locked Brooklyn down. And like I said, when you're down 17 and can come back in a playoff series, and so Brooklyn goes home, this should be the you're coming home, your back's against the wall game that they show up and beat Boston. If they do not win this game somehow, that series is over, and it won't be the series that it's supposed to be. I just don't know that the Nets have what it takes. There's something missing from that team. They've tried to, they had to trade Harden because he was malcontent and he wasn't happy. You got the Kyrie issue of he didn't play because of the vaccine. There's just been something going on with the New Jersey Nets, or the Brooklyn Nets from day one. They've had multiple issues and deals, and you just can't have that in that type of playoff atmosphere. Boston is much more in line and team camaraderie and on the same page, and Brooklyn is not. Brooklyn has just got something missing and has had something missing for the entire season. They were the 7th seed. They had to play in. They're now down 2-0, which again, very easily could be 2-0 the other way, and we could be having a discussion where Boston just lost both home games. But they didn't. They found a way. They found a way to win, and I believe Boston finds a way to win that series. And I believe where we thought it was 3 teams in the East, with the Embiid injury, probably becomes 2. Probably becomes Miami and Boston in the East Finals. I just don't know if Philadelphia has the manpower to get back. That's a wrap on your NBA playoffs. You've got tonight. You've got the Milwaukee, Chicago. You've got Miami playing tonight. Those series will be very interesting to see. Can Miami finish off what they've started? Does Atlanta have any kind of fight left in them? How does Milwaukee look without Middleton? And does Chicago take advantage of that injury? And can they put that team on their back and go forward? Okay, we got the NHL season. They're winding down. We're getting into the last 8-10 games of the season. The Eastern Conference is pretty much a done deal. There's all the playoff seeds are locked. There's the wild cards can basically switch. Their 2 points separate them. But the Eastern Conference looks like, you got Florida, Toronto, the Lightning, Carolina, the Rangers, and Pittsburgh are all your division, your seeds. And then you've got Boston and Washington to fight out for the last wild card. But the Eastern Conference is locked. There cannot be any of those teams right there. That's going to be it. Those are the teams that are going to get in. Those are the 8 teams that are going to get in. The West is a different story. You've got basically 3 teams for 2 spots in the wild card. But Colorado is clearly the 1 seed in the West. They've got over 100 points already. They have looked absolutely heads and shoulders above everybody in the West. Followed by Minnesota, St. Louis, Calgary, Edmonton, and the Kings. Nashville and Dallas are separated by 2 points, just like they are in the East, the 2 wild cards in the East. And Vancouver is the Golden Knights are 2 points out of the final wild card spot behind Dallas. The Golden Knights and the Dallas Stars have one head-to-head left. That's going to be a crucial game in the way this thing. Dallas has 2 games in hand on Las Vegas, and that's going to help them. But Dallas also just went on a 3-game Canadian road trip and did not look good in any of those 3 games. They got beat by multiple goals and just did not look like they were in any of those games. So goaltending and offense and defense and just did not look good at all. They come home tomorrow to play the Seattle Kraken, and they split with the Kraken up to this point going forward. And so that'll be an interesting game tomorrow night. I mean, it should be Dallas should take that game, being the fact they got 43 wins and Seattle has 26. But it's the NHL and anything can happen as the playoffs wind down. Dallas does not want to be in that number 2 wildcard spot and draw Colorado off the bat. It will be a quick exit in playoff time if that takes place. I just don't think Colorado has always gotten to the playoffs and struggled. That has been their MO. That has been their way of doing things for years. They get to the playoffs and something happens and they just fall apart. In the NHL, the playoffs is about goaltending, and if you can get the hot goaltender, the 8th seed beating the 1 seed is not uncommon in the NHL. It's happened almost yearly, to where one of the East or the West, the 8 seeds go, hey, we're here. We got a hot goalie, and we win the first series. So that'll be interesting. It's playoff time in the NBA, playoff time in hockey, and it's a very exciting. This is probably the most exciting time of year between hockey, NBA. You got baseball that's starting up. You just cannot get enough of the sports right now. So I think, right now, just by looking at it, I think Colorado, if they can change their playoff woes and stay as hot as they've stayed all year, Colorado is going to be very tough in the West. Florida is your 1 seed in the East. They've always played good hockey, but Toronto is playing very good right now. The problem Toronto has is they're losing to the teams that are outside the playoff picture that they shouldn't be losing to. So it seems like Toronto kind of plays down to their competition when they get these guys that they should kind of just walk in and walk through. They're not. They're struggling defensively, struggling goaltending wise, letting guys in the crease, letting guys in front of the net, and but they have probably the league MVP on their team, so that kind of offsets things. We go to the NFL, where this week Deebo Samual has come out and demanded a trade from the 49ers. We kind of heard some stuff like this as we ended on Tuesday, where there was rumors of it, there was discussions of it. We thought it was for money reasons. We thought he wanted to be the next in line, wanted to be the wide receiver market has just blown up this offseason. Guys like Cooper Kupp are just loving it because they know that next year when their contract's up, these guys that are revamping the market are just helping them out. But this is not what we're hearing now. Samuel has come out and said it's not about the money. The 49ers said we were willing to give him whatever he wanted, money-wise, contract-wise, extension-wise. Deebo has come out and said it's the way they use him. Here's a guy who has you've been used as basically a Swiss Army knife, rushing attempts. He had 365 yards rushing, and I mean it's the most by any wide receiver. He's got 8 rushing touchdowns, unheard of what this guy is doing productivity wise. He single handedly had 100 yards, almost 100 yards in the Dallas game, and carried the 49ers through that game. Deebo Samual last year had over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. That's the first. That's more than anybody that has played in that organization of yards from scrimmage, including the Hall of Famer Jerry Rice. You'd have not had anybody in that organization that has had the productivity of this guy. It's been amazing. But he doesn't like being used that way. He wants to, he's in his new team. He's going to want to go to that, and he's going to want to be guaranteed to be the wide receiver, not a running back. Will he run some reverses? Will you use some stuff like that? Yeah, I think so. But he doesn't want to be put in the backfield like he is in San Francisco. And Shanahan, if I'm Shanahan, I don't fault him for this. I mean, if I'm a Niners fan, I don't fault Shanahan for the way they used him. It's working. Why would you go away from that? Does Deebo get what he wants? I mean, he's going to get out of San Francisco, but I don't know if the new team that he's going to, they might tell him one thing, but once he gets under contract and they give him an extension, he's there. And do they use him as a wide receiver? Do they use him as this deal? Can they talk him into being this kind of utility knife in their organization? There's a lot of questions, but with the NFL draft coming up on Thursday, where does he go? There is a lot of fits. There's a lot of teams that could use a Deebo Samuel right now. Roughly, there's 10 teams that kind of separate themselves from the others in what we're hearing. The Atlanta Falcons, they lost Calvin Ridley to the suspension where he was gambling on football. So Atlanta could give up. They have some draft capital. They have some deal. They don't really have a quarterback. That's kind of in the midst. They got rid of Matt Ryan. They're kind of in limbo. They're probably going to be in line to draft one. But if they could fill a spot with Samuel at wideout, then maybe they can focus their draft capital on a quarterback or someone to help that aspect. Atlanta's got plenty of running backs, so they wouldn't necessarily need him in the running game as much. That is a possibility. I think Atlanta is there, but I think they're further down the list. I don't think they would be the number one choice. The Chicago Bears, they need a wideout. They need to help Justin Fields. They need to get this kid some help. Justin Fields came out last year and just looked completely, he should not have played. They should have let Dalton play. This kid came in and he should have just learned the offense and learned the team and learned the schemes and learned the NFL speed of the game. They had no offensive line. They had no business putting Justin Fields out there, and the kid just has no help. So would Deebo Samuel help the Chicago Bears? Absolutely would. Do they have the draft capital to give up for Deebo Samuel? Yes, they do. I don't think it takes a one to get Deebo. They might demand that. San Francisco is in full-blown control of this right now and could absolutely demand a highway ransom for Deebo Samuel. Haven't heard what they want. They have not come out and said, these are our demands. As Thursday gets closer, I believe those demands will start to come out. They will come out. They will start to um, surface, and what they really want, what they expect, will absolutely start to come out. Another team that has been linked to this, and I firmly believe that this is just to get clicks on the internet, is the Dallas Cowboys. Stop it. This is not going to happen. Um, they had Amari Cooper. They were paying him $20 million a year. They got rid of him to free that cap space, to allow them to do some other things and not be held against the wall in the salary cap. Well, if you get rid of Amari Cooper at 20 million, are you going to trade for Deebo Samuel at who wants 25 million is what he's basically starting at. He's saying that he's not even going to answer the phone if the offer doesn't start with 25 million. So there's an extra $5 million, and you would have to give up draft picks or some kind of capital, some kind of penalty, some kind of payment to the 49ers to get him. So if you're not going to keep Amari Cooper for $5 million less and not give up draft picks, how in the world would you pick up Deebo Samuel? It's not going to happen. Could they use him? I guess. Deebo and CeeDee Lamb and uh, Michael Gallup. Yeah, I mean, it would be great. But we also thought that CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup was going to be, we're going to score 50 a game, and they're going to hang all the offense, and we're just going to be unstoppable. And that wasn't the case. Where Dallas is not really hurting for running backs, they would be able to promise him not to use him in that form. They would be able to check that box. But other than that, that's probably the only box Dallas can check as to the Deebo Samuel deal. It's just not going to happen. If it does, I don't even I would be completely shocked. That would be, if out of 10 teams, Dallas would be 10, because I just don't see them giving up what they would need to give up to get Deebo Samuel. A absolute place that I think he would be amazing is in Detroit. You got Goff, you've got a lot of things that Detroit's going to be on the up and up. They've got draft capital, they've got plenty of cap room. They would be a multiple fit for Deebo Samuel. I don't know if they do it. I don't know if they pull the trigger. The GM and the owners in Detroit haven't really been known to make a move like this. Haven't been known to make huge trades like this. They have the extra first round pick for that ends. So again, Miguel Cabrera 3,000. I think it works out well, and so yeah. Um, we will see you Thursday night for the draft, and we will be ready for that. So we're excited for the draft. We're excited for 3,000. We're excited to see where Deebo goes. So yeah, I think I think it's good. Look forward to Thursday night, and we'll see you guys then.